Hey guys, this is Courtney back from Mills Bloom, and I am here to give you a full moon in Pisces forecast. This full moon is happening at 7 degrees and is sitting right next to Saturn. So this means that the moon is in Pisces. Saturn has obviously been in Pisces for a while, and the sun is opposite Saturn and the moon in the sign of Virgo. So, to start off with, full moons have a lot to do with culminations. They typically have that peak experience where something has come to a head, something has been decided, realized, ended, the party happens, like whatever it is that is like the full experience of a journey that we've been on. And this is especially related to endings because it is next to Saturn. And because also the sign of Pisces has to do with endings as well, being the last sign of the zodiac. So all of us are kind of stepping into an energy of releasing something, letting something go. And I have a few more kind of other examples of what this might be, but I think many of us are going to be finalizing or ending something of some sort, especially if this is aspecting your chart. So if you have any planets around 7 degrees of the mutable signs, then this will affect you more personally, especially around 7 degrees of Pisces. Having a full moon in general is more emotional, but then having it in a water sign like Pisces is going to be extra sensitive and extra emotional. So these endings or the things that are coming up for us are not going to just leave our life willy-nilly. They're things that bring up deep emotions within us, or whatever it is that we're facing. It's ultimately going to be a catharsis and an emotional experience of needing to face and release something within ourselves or something even tangible within our lives. The first card that I pulled for this reading was the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is very Saturnian in nature. It is the card that is related to our traditions and following the order of things and the way things should be done and the authority. And ultimately, although I think Jupiter is the planet related to integrity, I think Saturn is also related to integrity in the sense that we can rely on ourselves and our word to get something done. And so I think one of the pieces of advice that this full moon is calling us to is that whatever we are deciding to release, or however we are facing some culmination period in our life, we are ultimately going to need to do that with the proper protocols and the right integrity, and not doing something that you would regret in the long run. So these are decisions that we're making from a place of cautiousness and austerity and wisdom that comes from age and going through hardships. You really get that wisdom in tow, and this full moon is going to draw on that wisdom, where you're going to realize this isn't working, and this is how I should go about releasing this, or ultimately how I should go about addressing this conflict if there is conflict, or having this ending, or facing this certain challenge in my life. Because Saturn can bring up a certain amount of challenges. It is a planet of hardship or effort, and it is also related to work. So for some of us, the things that could pop up in our life could be related to work. It doesn't have to be the case, but it's possible. Or there could just be certain delays and things that come in and provide certain challenges or situations. But I think all of them kind of lead back to a need to emotionally release something that you have maybe grown attached to that is not really part of your future development. And again, doing that from a place of integrity and really making sure that you are kind of leaving the situation or addressing this issue with the utmost care and cautiousness. So that is super important. Saturn also has a lot to do with realistic limits as well, and just reality in general. And so many of us could have some kind of reality check, like, okay, this is what happens. It's very much like a go around, come around. It's a karmic cycle. So we can start to realize, okay, because of my past actions in this way, I have this outcome, and we just kind of see the reality of our experiences. And maybe we get told no, maybe we get, the offer isn't made to us, or, something that we were really hopeful of doesn't really pan out in the way that we thought it would. For some people who this is more positively aspecting their birth chart, they may have experiences where things actually solidify, because Saturn can also bring our past efforts into fruition. So for many of us, it's going to be more of an ending and a no. But I think for a few of us, there will be actually this feeling of reaching some kind of important destination. And so that's where the culmination is. It's like, I've achieved it. I've gained something out of this experience. I have something to show for all this hard work. So it could look different depending on your personal chart. But again, I think the majority of us will be experiencing more of kind of the reality check and an ending or a loss, or something that we're needing to face along our journey, some really important checkpoint or endpoint along the journey. Saturn is very much about old things in general. So if this is something that's been going on for a while, Saturn will come in here and wrap it up for you. It's like, okay, let's be honest with this. Like, let's respect our time. Time is super important because Saturn is the god of time. Saturn is Chronos, if you want to look more into that. But anywhere where we have Saturn in our chart, we're going to feel like it slows things down. And so when we have Saturn on the moon like this, there's some kind of thing in our life that has maybe been hanging around a little bit longer than we needed to, just because maybe there's emotional ties to it. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's an experience. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's a way of being. But whatever it is, usually it's like lingered for a little bit of time to teach you, to give you wisdom, to grow from that experience. And then ultimately Saturn comes in here and reminds you that maybe the time has run out on whatever that experience or thing was. Things can really catch up to you. And so, especially because Saturn is a very like rigid and hard planet, there could be ways in which we feel less adaptable. Even though Pisces is a mutable sign, we might feel a little bit more fragile, like, okay, I'm falling and I'm going to shatter or break. It might feel like there's a little bit less leeway for just like bouncing back really fast. Like Saturn does take time for, and again, following the natural order of things with this Hierophant card, like it's not just we might not just immediately bounce back. And not to say that we won't, because there is going to be a positive aspect that Jupiter is going to make to the sun, later this month. And we also have Mercury in a trine with Jupiter at the time of this full moon. And I'm going to get into that in a second, but these are growth aspects. These really show optimism and faith and really feeling like there's something ahead for us. But in general, Saturn creates that coldness and that rigidity, and it can make it hard. Again, it can make it feel like when something falls, it shatters instead of like being rubber that just kind of retakes its form. And so it truly feels like an ending of an ending. And it also is something where we just need to be more aware of how to heal ourselves right now and how to take care of ourselves and take time for things. Not try to rush past any of these normal processes and that we need to take, because that again is what can lead to Saturn kind of malfunctioning, and it's really serving its purpose here. So we might be for some period of time in a liminal space, before that new thing comes in. But I think it might happen a little bit faster than you think it will, just because of this trine with the sun and Jupiter happening later this month. The sun might start to shine faster than you think, but still it's important to follow what you normally do, basically, when you're going through a process of letting go, transforming, and then, having an uptick of energy. I do think there is going to be, with this Mercury trining Jupiter and with this ace, the Tower followed by the Ace of Wands, it is going to be this like shattering experience. Like I mentioned, I think again, I'm really like picturing ice falling and it just breaks, and because it's so hard, and that's Saturn. And there's something with time where time heals everything, but it can't put it back the exact way it was. And I think that's what's happening here with this Tower card. Many of us are going to go through a similar experience. Again, mostly if it's aspecting your birth chart personally, it might be less of a big deal. If you're not having a personal aspect, you might not feel like a lot is changing in your life. Maybe there's just kind of a theme going on or something that you're needing to address. But if it's aspecting your birth chart, you can have some really big like finalities and chapters closing. And with the Ace of Wands coming in here, this is the inspiration that comes in after that. So after things have been demolished, there's now energy to rebuild. And again, it's important to have that time. But again, I think it might be faster than we think because of this beautiful trine with Mercury to Jupiter. And so many of us are going to have the idea of what things could be coming in, even during the collapse of whatever this is. So Mercury trine Jupiter is able to see into the future and anticipate, and I just saw 1111, and even maybe manifest some of the visions and things that you want. So it's going to help tune into what is possible as a result of no longer investing energy into one facet of your life. Where can that energy go next? And this Mercury trine Jupiter is really able to see the meaning and the purpose of this. You know, not only why is this happening, but what can I do now as a result? And how do I look at things through hopeful eyes? Mercury is also making a quincunx to Chiron. So I think ultimately it's important to look ahead, but not get so caught up in the looking ahead that we don't go through the necessary process of healing and really sitting with ourselves and sitting with the past and with our emotions. So I think this quincunx could indicate that there could be the potential to, you know, want to future project and not process. So it's important to have a foot in both worlds, almost like a foot in the past, a foot in the present, and a foot in the future, where we can process, be with ourselves, and then anticipate what we can achieve next or what we can have in our lives next. We also have Mars and Libra making a quincunx to Saturn. And so I kind of think that this will indicate a level of tension in this full moon. I mean, obviously Saturn is next to the moon, so Mars is making a quincunx to these, basically both of these. And I did pull Five of Swords. But then I also pulled the Four of Cups. So it's like this weird energy here around not engaging in conflict. Like there is conflict here with the Five of Swords. So there's naturally going to be probably some kind of like rough edge to whatever circumstance is having its finality in our life. Maybe there's people who don't necessarily like understand what you're doing, or maybe somebody tells you no, or maybe you get fired, or, you know, whatever it is, there's a little bit of this anxiety or this tension or this conflict with maybe somebody else in your life or within yourself. But the Four of Cups is really telling you to not engage with that. And this Mars making a quincunx to Saturn, it's almost like the energy of aggression is there, but it doesn't have a necessarily fruitful outcome. It doesn't know how. It's almost like tangential in this experience. If there's conflict or tension, it's not really like going to move things forward in a way that you like. It's not going to help resolve things in a way that you like. So the Four of Cups is really about being a little bit more apathetic and when it comes to engaging with conflict. Obviously, I don't think we should be apathetic in general, because this is a Pisces full moon. It's very emotional, but it's particularly with this tense energy that's really not going to serve any of us. And with the Six of Swords and Eight of Cups, I feel like the Four of Cups is really, because these were clarifiers, I think the Four of Cups is really saying not only are we not engaging in conflict, but with these cards in particular, we're really meant to be moving away from something and deciding it's not for us anymore, reevaluating what is best for us in our highest interest. Both of these cards are about walking away and moving on towards another adventure. The Six of Swords in particular is a card that really has to do with transition, which is why I said we're in a liminal space. And the Eight of Cups is releasing something that we are very emotionally tied to. So that is basically, kind of summarizing already what I've been saying, but that is the energy of this full moon. So let's go ahead and jump into what this is going to look like for all of the rising signs. Be sure to watch for your sun sign as well, because it's definitely relevant. And some people also like to watch for their moon sign. So you can go ahead and judge for yourself, but definitely watch your rising sign. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to comment down below to let me know how it resonates. Give me a thumbs up, and I will see you at your sign. All right, at first we have Aries, rising, and sun. This full moon in Pisces is in your 12th house with Saturn right next to it. And I've been saying, if you haven't watched the overview, definitely go ahead and watch that. But basically, this is a full moon around endings, emotional releases, culminations of things. And for you guys, the sun is also opposite it in the sign of Virgo in your 6th house. So this is really playing along the houses that have to deal with health and mental health, routine and our spiritual body, our work, and the way that we also disconnect from work and go more into the ethereal realm. And so this might come into play for you. I really see that because I also pulled the sun and the moon card. So there's something here around the balancing of masculine and feminine energy. And I really get that from the 6th and the 12th house. The 6th house is very practical. It's very earthly. It's very much the masculine and the routine and the discipline and the structure. While the 12th house is a lot more feminine. It's about the dreams, the subconscious, the emotions, what drives us from an invisible point of view. And so I really feel like you guys are coming into a state of merging these two together in some capacity in your life. So that could look different for everybody, but there's something about the masculine and feminine, the strive for discipline and for work and for efficiency and growth, and then also the strive for relaxation and material or spiritual growth and the internal release of things that you've kept inside of you. So I'm really seeing this blending of these two needs and desires. And for everybody, there could be some type of ending in your life or reality check or culmination of something that will instigate the need to have this in a better balance. The word that was trying to come to mind was inhibit. So there could have been something in your life that you feel like was inhibiting you from truly having this blend of both. So maybe you were in a place where you couldn't have a routine, or maybe you have been, like you have been working 2 jobs and you haven't had space in your life. And then you decide to end a job and create more of that spaciousness and balance between masculine and feminine, doing and being, receiving and giving. And there's something about whatever inhibited you that is finalizing, it's a chapter ending, and you're stepping into more of an embodiment of both energies. And I think you're going to be taking that quite seriously as well, like taking rest, recovery, time in isolation, time alone, recharging, being with nature. You're going to be taking that a lot more seriously. And the 12th house has a lot to do with self-undoing. So if there were particular habits or things that you spent your time doing that really drained your energy, but were restorative, quote unquote, where you maybe watch TV or, whatever else it was, went on your phone or social media, I feel like you're going to be really doing a check-in with yourself to see, is this really helpful for me? Like, is this habit, is this routine, or is this thing actually regenerating me and giving me more energy? And if it's not, I think that's something you're going to be, again, a lot more disciplined and serious about putting a stop to actually focus on things that revive you and help you thrive. And I just saw 333. We also have Mercury in the 6th house in Virgo, trining Jupiter in the 2nd, and Uranus. So this is really going to help you, however you situate your new routine and create more of this balance for yourself. It is going to help you create not only more inner stability and confidence, but it also has the potential to create more financial stability as well. So there's something about this that's really going to help you grow more financially. It's almost like that, you know, the irony of the fact that you can make more money when you're taking care of yourself better and not just making sure that you work. There are lots of ways in which we can become stronger at manifesting when we have a full cup. And that is something that I feel like I'm really seeing for you guys. I also am seeing something new coming into your life with this Fool and this Ace of Wands. The Fool is a new beginning, and the Ace of Wands is something inspirational, something that we are excited about pursuing, some new growth or potential or possibility. So I really feel like you guys are going to be closing a chapter on something in your life that will give you the capacity to balance that masculine and feminine. But then I also feel like it's going to create this level of spaciousness to start dreaming. This doesn't feel like a very particular investment into something. It doesn't feel like you've started it yet. It feels like the idea or the possibility is lingering there. And because you have more spaciousness now, you can start to actually kind of dive into what that would look like. Maybe you won't act on this particular full moon, but it's something that you're toying around with. Like, what could I do now that I feel like I have more time? What can I do now that I feel like I have more of a schedule and spaciousness in some capacity, or balance at the very least? Now what's exciting about this next thing in my life? Like, let me start to grow and advance through another creative outlet or through something that I haven't tried before with this Fool card. And I think that's going to be, you're going to be musing on what that could be, especially if it is related to something financial or the potential to make more money in some way or develop a certain skill that you haven't really fully developed yet. This is something that I think you might be musing about at the time of this full moon. And it's not really the time to act per se, but it is definitely the time to create the necessary lifestyle to be able to pursue something like this in the future. I also pulled this offering card, and really what came to me first was that if you have a business, you might be coming up with new offerings, or again, considering and dreaming about the potential of what else you could do to make money, what else you can do to offer the world some type of value in exchange for money or your time and your energy. So if that's not necessarily the case for you, I just think that there's going to be something that the world is offering you that you want to start on. So some kind of creative project, a hobby, a new friendship, a relationship. But I think for many of you, it will be more work related. And I just think that there's going to be something inspiring you in that particular direction. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Aries. For some reason, I really want to call you Pisces. So maybe there's something related to Pisces also. I mean, this is a full moon of Pisces, but so that's what I'm seeing for you, and I wish you the best of luck. Don't forget to comment down below if it resonates, subscribe, like, and if you want a reading from me, you can check me out at willowsboom.com using the link down below, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, Taurus, rising and sun. This full moon in Pisces is happening in your 11th house, conjunct Saturn. The sun is opposite it in Virgo in your 5th house. So for a full moon in the 11th house, this can have some type of culminating experience, a decision, a responsibility, or an ending in the area of relationships, especially associated with friendships. So if there are, for example, people in your community that you feel misaligned with, this full moon can help you really indicate where those connections might reach the dead end of their road. You could also have friends who also have endings in their life, or with Saturn in particular, there can be some type of reality or decision or culmination about certain things in life related to friendships or to those people that ultimately have you kind of needing to plan ahead or make certain decisions again around those relationships. So I feel like that didn't make sense, but I'm gonna get into what I'm talking about a little bit more clearly. So I pulled the Two of Wands and the Two of Cups, and this is kind of what I was getting at. With the Two of Wands, we have an energy here of planning, decision making, looking into the future, progress, decisions again, discovery. So this is the 11th house, which is all about our future. And we're really getting into our head about like, what's next? But this is a full moon of endings. So it's this weird thing where there's something ending that is going to impact your future or the way that you've planned for the future. And with the Two of Cups here, it really seems like it's relationship focused. So something in your life or someone else's life is wrapping up and is requiring some important decisions to be made. And ultimately, it's going to impact the closeness of somebody that you really care about. It's going to impact that person. And I pulled the Peaceful Warrior next to this as well. So I really feel like some of you guys might be needing to step up as some type of warrior, but also peaceful. So this could be you protecting a friend. This could look like you standing up to somebody and setting a boundary that you need to set. But again, from a peaceful place, not from an aggressive place, not from a place of being overly enthusiastic either. It's just a very kind of solid, firm place. So there could be, again, boundaries, endings, taking care of someone that's important to you, protecting someone, protecting yourself. So those are the things that might really come up within your relationships right now. I also pulled the Nine of Cups. So there's something about your relationships or whatever this means. So if you're leaving something or if you're setting a boundary or if someone in your life has something end and you're protecting them, whatever this is in particular, it's going to lead you to a situation that actually feels like your wish is fulfilled. So maybe you end certain dynamics with people and you engage and have time for other relationships that lead you to feeling like it's what you've always wanted. It's a general energy around contentment and happiness and feeling like this is the dream for me. So the Nine of Cups really indicates that the outcome of this is very, very positive. That also probably has something to do with the Sun and Mercury being in the 5th house, as well as Mercury making a trine to Jupiter in your 1st house. The 5th house is very much about joy, about celebration, about creativity. And I really feel like you guys are coming into this energy. So whatever this wish fulfillment is for you, it's going to bring you creative opportunities, or it's going to bring you this feeling of being in alignment with your own intuition, or feeling like there are, again, just possibilities opening up to you now because of what's unfolded or ended or transformed, or the decision that you've made around your relationships. It's bringing you your wishes fulfilled and all of these new creative potentials and exciting ideas, especially with this Page of Swords as well. Like this is a lot of, again, new exciting ideas, new ways of talking, maybe meeting more people, this level of curiosity. I almost feel like it's creating, again, more space in your life to engage in relationships that you really care about in a way that's more profound, but also more like exploratory. Like you get to try more stuff and kind of almost like this dabbling, like, it's more profound with your relationships, but at the same time, it's also like you are trying new stuff with that person, if that makes sense. If this is involving someone in your life, or even a project, like where you're redirecting your energy into it, it's like you're having a more profound relationship and connection to that thing or to yourself. And you're getting to try new stuff with that. I also pulled this King of Swords, which again, this is really a card saying that there is a lot more boundaries being held here. There's also all of the truth out on the table. Everyone is being honest. You are very much in charge of your own mental faculties and feeling very decisive and clear about how you want to move forward things, which might be such a gift for you, especially with Mercury trining Jupiter in your 1st house. You're really having the opportunity to see what's next for me. What do I want to do next? And how do my relationships incorporate into that next big picture for me? And it's not the time to take action on all of those next steps yet, but ultimately it's a time of wrapping up this old cycle with someone in your life or with certain relationships in your life in order to then can have the capacity to dream and anticipate what you want to be working on next. I also have this ancient memory card. So there's something that might come up from the past. So this could be, like you are maybe having someone old come back into your life, or you're having these experiences that remind you of things that have happened in the past. That can also be very possible, especially within your relationships. There could definitely be this energy of like something familiar, or almost having that deja vu kind of symptom. Like that's what I'm seeing. But it feels like coming home. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is just repeating again, because Saturn is very much ending something that needed to stop, that needed to end. And whatever like history is being drawn up, it feels like it feels positive. It feels reminiscent rather than old baggage, if that makes sense. So that's ultimately what I'm seeing for you, Taurus. It seems like you have a lot of steam to move forward ahead once this chapter of ending occurs and wraps up. And so that's really positive. I hope that you enjoyed this. Don't forget to comment down below if it resonates. I love to read your comments. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading, check me out at willsboom.com, which I link down below, and have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Gemini rising and sun. So this full moon in Pisces is in your 10th house along with Saturn. So we are reaching some kind of culmination in your public reputation, in your career, in your life direction. There is some kind of decision, a commitment, a way that you're viewing things from a more realistic perspective. You are maybe more aware of time. Maybe you're ending some things in your career and having space for another thing. But I really feel like you are becoming much more aligned and aware of your values, and you are acting in accordance to those. So especially because Venus has been retrograding, we've been really getting in tune with what it is that we need in terms of self-esteem, self-respect, what we need in terms of what we really enjoy, what we have a good time doing within our work, and within our general life goals, and even anything related to kind of how we're trying to progress our life, or even our reputation and our public image. If there's something that hasn't been aligned with you that ultimately adds up to those things or creates those things, the career and public image and or goals and everything like that, then you're going to be aware of that misalignment and end those things now. With the Two of Wands and the Star, I really feel like this is going to be an ending that helps you actually in your future, because the Two of Wands is very much this card of having progress and planning clearly for what you really want and need. And if there was something that was misaligned, it could have almost been like a broken wheel that was sputtering out, and now it's finally feeling like it clicks into place and you're very clear about how it is that you're going to move forward. There are no more questions like, should I do this? Should I do that? There's no more back and forth. Things finally catch up to you and they reach this moment of the catharsis, the deciding factor, the clarity. And then after that comes the hope and the renewal and the purpose, and feeling like you are having faith in the universe and the faith in the direction that you're going in, because now you know you're living in alignment with what you were meant to be doing, and you're planning in a way that's in alignment. I did pull the Strength card. So in general, this full moon again it's a little bit of a hardship because we are releasing something. And so the Strength card is really having you try to have like your wits about you and strengthen your heart in particular. You see this person's heart is right there. And this is our advice really for this particular reading. And it actually has number 13 on it, which is the Divine Feminine. And it says, strength, essence of creation, connecting to the creatrix within, fertility, birth, creativity, and inner trust. And is ruled by Venus. It says, like the radiance of lion's heart, motherwort's energy builds inner trust and confidence. The lion-hearted motherwort is a representative of the beauty we possess when we own the power of our gifts and creativity. So if there was something that was blocking you from fully owning those gifts and this creativity, you're going to be better at accessing that now. The goddess sits centered as the lion leans on her in a state of peaceful delight, symbolizing the unwavering faith we must keep as we transcend old fears. Venus, her planetary ruler, is like a midwife to our happiness, channeling how we accept and transmit our heart's desires. Find new ways to facilitate creativity that honor and reveal your passions and strength. Devote yourself to the fertility of your gifts and courageously accept your divine destiny. So that's part of your advice for this period of time. And I think the star card is so spiritual that I think it's going to really help you align with this, with your nature, with your gifts, help you really speak to the cosmos, the stars, your guides, to pull down that energy that you need to not only have the strength to pursue those gifts, but to also be very clear and confident in owning them and healing from anything that could have, again, had to end in order for you to accept these gifts that you have. I also pulled the Lovers card and the Page of Pentacles. The Lovers is really about the alignment, the choices, the relationships in our life. And with the Page of Pentacles next to it, this card is really about developing certain skills or having certain opportunities or things manifest for us. So this ultimately is, again, a full moon. It's an ending period. So I don't think you guys are necessarily going to engage in new relationships. But we do have Mercury in the 4th, trining Jupiter in the 12th. And this period of time, especially since Mercury is your planetary ruler, this period of time is about future projection, like what is possible, what is out there, dreaming up of these potentials. And for you in particular, with Jupiter being in the 12th, you could be getting dreams and downloads of the potential of new things to come into your life, especially things that are related to your home, your happiness, your family, your rootedness, your feeling of stability. You could have these kinds of dreams and ideas and anticipation of maybe who you want to be as a person, or how you can improve your internal emotional balance or your home life in some way. And if you want to buy a home, you could be having visions and dreams of the next place you want to go to. Like a full moon in the 10th house could mean that you're wanting to move and you leave someplace and then you're dreaming up of where to go next. And I think that the relationship factor could come in here as well. With the Lovers and the Page of Pentacles, you could be kind of envisioning, new friendship circles and things of that nature. But ultimately, I feel more so that this is a card that's speaking to self-love. So really developing the relationship with yourself, and any kind of skills that you want to develop as a person. So with the Page of Pentacles, maybe this could look like, again, being able to dream about one day monetizing a specific skill that you have, or developing a certain level of discipline or talent in something that you haven't been known for before, but you want to be known for. So it's a time of really kind of dreaming, being with oneself, especially because your planetary ruler Mercury is in the 4th house. The 4th house is one of the most intimate, personal houses, and it really is about you and your very close loved ones that you feel safe with. So this is your time to focus on your own emotional well-being, focus on your family and taking care of your house, as well as thinking about or integrating these dreams or visions or meditations that will help you live more in alignment with more clarity, especially moving towards whatever kind of creative goals that you're desiring. So I hope that all kind of summarizes it for you. I hope that makes sense for you. And that's what I see. So it looks really positive overall. It is a time of endings, but I think ultimately we're getting a lot of blessings from this. Pisces is a very spiritual sign. And so we're transcending something to go into a lighter, more emotionally and intuitively aligned, authentic place. So again, that's what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. If this resonates, please comment down below, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowswim.com. I will link that down below, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer rising and sun. This full moon in Pisces is happening in your 9th house, conjunct Saturn. So for all of us, I really feel like we're going through a time of releasing something, letting something go, or someone in our life having that happen to them even. For you guys, I definitely see that you have already maybe been in a state of transition, and it's time for some renewal that is going to happen. So I feel like some of you guys maybe already let stuff go. And it's not to say that you're not also letting stuff go now, but I think it's almost like a deepening of what you've been working on. And in particular, being in the 9th house, this has a lot to do with personal growth. And there might be some old factors at play that you are releasing in order to feel like you are growing and expanding more, especially around really limiting belief systems. You may come to terms and see the reality or the outcome and the kind of like karmic cycle of nature, how you believe something and then something happens as a result. So it's really this manifestation of your internal schema viewing reality. So you can start to see how if you have a belief where you don't trust people, or you have issues in certain relationships, or you feel like you're not good enough, you will really start to see how those beliefs have solidified into your life, and you're going to be making some radical changes to actually put an end to some old cycle and complete that thought and decide to think something new. I feel like you guys are going to be going through a little bit of a period of being alone with this Hermit card. Some of you guys are going to be more introspective than usual, which is a good time to be alone, or maybe even less busy, so that you can actually tune into your divine nature, your higher self, which is very much a 9th house topic. You guys are also, again, in a state of transition and needing to release some of your old baggage. And so you really have to go within to be able to do that. This is a highly emotional full moon, being in the sign of Pisces, and ultimately it can bring up a lot of stuff from the past with Saturn involved. It can really bring up old emotional issues that we've had, things related to our family or our childhood, or things that have just happened these last few years that really get brought up again. But there is an emotional catharsis to this full moon where we're going to be able to just process something and complete it, and then decide to act or think differently in the future because we've really laid it to rest. And I think it's such a gift for you. This revival card to me is saying, it really is going to be such a beautiful energy to end and transform an old cycle and be able to use that energy for the new cycle. You're reviving something within yourself. Maybe this is something that is going to ultimately lead to more faith and more optimism. But initially, right now, it might feel like it's not as optimistic. It might feel heavier because Saturn is involved. Later on in the month, we'll have Jupiter involved, which will lighten the mood definitely a lot more. But ultimately, with this full moon being conjunct Saturn, it's almost like we're trying to see what our true limits are, and what happens when we take action and it manifests as something. And it's really being aware of reality, and again, and how we shape our reality in a very real way. So this revival card is saying that almost like you're taking responsibility for that and being able to come to terms with what you want in the future and how you actually need to change as a person, or especially the way that you believe and interact with life and new things, in order to facilitate this revival or this new person that you're trying to be. So it's like, if I want some new outcome, a different outcome, then I have to be different. What do I need to do? Let's look at how my actions have led me here and be real about what I need to do in the future. It's very future oriented because it's in the 9th house. And also because Mercury is in your 3rd house, trining Taurus in the 11th. This is a very future-oriented energy, like what's possible, especially what's possible in the area of socialization, communication, relationships, and community building. These areas of your life are undergoing some sort of up-leveling, maybe not at this particular full moon, but over time, I think you're going to have clarity around what it is that you need to do in order to improve your relationships and communication and that feeling of belonging, what didn't work in the past. And I think you're really, again, taking responsibility and seeing reality and being like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I'm aspiring to, and this is how I can actually get there realistically. And I think later on in the month, you'll start taking steps towards that. With this world in the 7 of Swords, I think you're really ending a cycle with, the world coming first. This is about completion, ending a cycle. And the 7 of Swords is like secrets, getting away with something. It can indicate where you are deceiving people or betrayal. But there's something here where it feels like there has maybe been some masked energy that you've carried with you in relationships. Parts of you that you were hiding away, that you weren't honest about, parts of you that may have been shadow self that could have been acting first in the relationship and negatively impacting relationships. And I feel like you're really putting an end to that cycle, and you're becoming much more stable in your relationships, and you're actually going to attract relationships into your life that are much more stable as well. And this could go the other way around as well. You could have attracted people who were deceiving you, and you're having more of a realization around the truth. And the truth is really key here. The truth and reality is something that you're coming to terms with at this full moon, and it's either your responsibility or theirs. Regardless, if that person was deceiving you, or that friend group or whatever, they betrayed you in some way, it's still also your responsibility, because you put yourself in a relationship with somebody that did that. And so there's always ways in which we have some level of responsibility, not to blame, but there is some level of responsibility that we can always take to improve our lives. And I think you're going to be seeing what work you need to do to create these really stable, committed, long-lasting relationships. And I feel like this full moon is going to be the ending of whatever baggage was there, so that you can actually strive towards that new beginning in your relationships in the future. And that seems like a really big focus for you anyway, Cancer. I feel like your friendships, your connections, your relationships have been such a big growth edge for you this last year, and I think it's going to continue to be. But that's what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. I wish you all of the best. If this resonates, please comment down below, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willisboom.com, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye. All right, up next we have Leo rising and sun. This full moon in Pisces is happening in your 8th house and is conjunct Saturn. So this full moon is a little bit more of a challenging one because of its conjunction with Saturn. It is very much related to endings, emotional catharsis. Being in your 8th house, this could bring up old trauma or old crises, and it can be a little bit more triggering for you. There can be these deeper insecurities that really get pushed on by something ending in your life. And I really see you guys tackling this in a profound and healthy way, though, with the Knight of Wands and the High Priestess next to each other. The Knight of Wands is a card that is very much somebody who's growing in confidence, who has kind of like this almost like this fierce kind of warrior energy to them, where they want to just run after their goals and run after the problems in their life and solve them. They have the inspiration or the energy to do so. And next to the High Priestess, this is a very soft card. This is about the subconscious mind. This is about the divine feminine. This is about our intuition, the need to maybe heal and become more in tune with ourselves and emotionally aware. And I feel like the Knight of Wands is going to give you guys the necessary courage that you need to kind of dive deeper into some of the things that get triggered at this time, and help you actually take more inspired action on things that are going to improve your life and your well-being as a result of having to face some more emotionally challenging situations. Sometimes we need a really good kick in the butt to get us to do something that we've been telling ourselves we want to do for a while. So this could look like something in your life ending that could trigger you emotionally, that then pushes you to grow as a person in a certain way, and to get out of really old funky habits that were not serving you, and to really, again, take some kind of inspired action. Maybe you start something new that helps you in terms of habits, or in terms of seeing a therapist, or doing something to help regulate yourself or improve your internal life through some likely external measure. So I really feel like you guys are going to be focusing on stabilizing the self, especially with the sun in the 2nd house. It's a time of really working on the cracks within the foundations of your life. What are the things that you normally get caught up in? The bad thoughts about yourself, or the insecurities, or the wounds that keep catching you again and again in certain dynamics in your life. It's time to really pave those over and again solidify and strengthen and stabilize who you are as a person. And I think that part of the way that you're going to do this with this advice card to cleansing, part of the way that you're going to do this is by cleansing something in your life. So this could be cleaning up your diet, no longer smoking, making sure that you get time in nature, throwing some old things of yours away, getting rid of old energetic ties and attachments to people or things or habits. There's something where you're needing to cleanse your space and really kind of start fresh by purifying something in your life. And with this higher consciousness card as the other advice card, I really feel like you guys are being called to step into the higher version of yourself by looking at things from a bigger perspective, from a bigger picture. Why is this happening? What's the meaning of this? What is this teaching me? How do I get out of my more basic instincts, my more survival-based brain, and step into a place of higher consciousness through maybe meditation or time in nature or whatever you need to do to get to that place. But it's really trying to get you to evolve right now, like really evolving by meeting your fears, meeting your losses and your darkness and whatever else comes up for you in a way that can be extremely spiritual, that can be very intuitive, that can lighten your load of old psychic gunk in your life and help you see a lot more clearly, help you feel, again, a lot lighter and freer by facing some of the things that were old and kind of unnecessarily stuck to you in some kind of way. You guys also have Mercury in the second house in Virgo, trining Jupiter in your 10th and Uranus there as well. And I really feel like there's something evolving in your career life as well with the Sun card and with Jupiter in your 10th being aspected. You guys are really growing into your career and you are having the potential to unlock kind of like new doors with your career or with your general life goals. So it's like, what do I want next? There's a lot of potential here, a lot of potential for success. And I feel like you guys are coming into a lot of ideas with Mercury here. You're generating a lot of potentials and ideas and possibilities about what you can do. With the Two Swords, I don't think that you have the clarity necessarily yet. Maybe you're having to make a difficult decision. Maybe you just have lots of options. Maybe you are really wanting to avoid committing to a really big life decision because of the fact that you're having this full moon in the 8th and it is a lot more of an emotional catharsis and not necessarily the time to make a big life decision. But ultimately, I feel like you guys are having kind of like a fork in the road or maybe two different lanes that you're going to cross where you could be doing two avenues of career. Like, I feel like you're going to be eventually doing something new in your career is what I'm trying to say. And I think that is going to come because you're freeing up a lot of this emotional baggage and you're going to have more inspiration, creative energy to make a decision about how you want to invest your time for these big life goals for yourself. That could look like having to decide between two ways or committing to both and kind of cutting out other stuff in your life. But regardless, there seems like there's a decision to be made here, and that's going to come up, I think, later in the month. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Leo. I think that this energy is ultimately cleansing you so that you have more capacity for your creativity, your vision, for your growth, and your reputation to improve as a person as well. And so I think this is going to be a good time for you, even though initially it might be harboring a lot of difficult emotions. Eventually I see you start passing that and stepping into very positive energy for yourself. So best of luck with this. Don't forget to comment down below if this resonates for you. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, you can check me out at willsbloom.com. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Virgo rising. So this full moon in Pisces is happening in your 7th house of relationships, conjunct Saturn. So for many of you guys, you might be going through some kind of ending or realization or decision or a culmination of some big event in your relationships. And this could even indicate that someone else in your life is having an ending as well. Instead of just a relationship itself ending, but that's also possible. So it's really about having kind of like an old chapter truly close, something wrap up that has maybe been overdue. There could be an element of a relationship that needed to go or be transformed into something else. There could have been a whole whoops, a whole person to cut out. I did not mean to. Okay. Anyway, and because Saturn really has to do with that, it has a lot to do with things that have grown old and tired and have reached their point of completion. And so that's really common during this period of time to have something like that happen. You guys got the Nine of Pentacles and the Temperance card. So I really feel like you're going to be entering into a phase of more self-reliance and independence at this period of time. The sun is in your first house. It's very much your time to shine, to work on your physical appearance, especially really putting effort into that, whether that looks like going to the gym and taking care of your health, or putting on makeup or doing your hair or whatever that is. There's something around your physical appearance that, and yourself, your body, your health that needs your attention and your care. And I think having whatever ending or culmination in the relationship that needed to happen is going to free up that more capacity and space for independence. I think it's also a time as well with the Nine of Pentacles to be working on your financial independence as well. So if you have become reliant on someone or something financially, or reliant on someone or something for confidence, or reliant on someone or something for anything, it's really a time to bring that energy back to the self, fill up your own cup, become financially stable, become healthy, become strong. And the Nine of Pentacles is somebody who really feels like they're doing well on their own, in their own independence, and making their own life decisions. Next to the Temperance card, this is a card of healing and of balance and of moderation. So you're stepping into a phase also where you could be healing from whatever was happening in the relationship that needed to undergo that change or that ending. And you're stepping into a period of finding more balance as well in your life. So if you were off kilter, off balance in any kind of way, this is your sign to bring healing to that aspect of your life. So hopefully you guys will actually know what it is that needs more balance. Maybe it's your focus between you and another person that needed balance. Maybe it's your focus on your spiritual and your material life that needed balance. Like, you're going to know what that is. And this is your time to draw your energy and attention to that. Your planetary ruler, Mercury, is in your first house, and it's making a beautiful trine to Jupiter and Uranus in your ninth house. So you are going through a period of having more of a growth mindset. And this doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to take action on everything right now, because this is a time where we're really having a big emotional experience, a catharsis, and removing old things from our lives, especially around people and in relationships. And yet that needs to happen while we also have anticipation for a brighter future. Mercury being your planetary ruler in your first house is already showing that you're more adaptable right now than you usually are. You are having a brighter mindset with that trine to Jupiter. You are innovative with that trine to Uranus. And it's really coming into a phase of thinking about what is possible for you, because the Jupiter in the ninth house is really looking to things that are foreign or new, or that will expand your horizons, that will challenge you to grow as a person. It also has a lot to do with your why, your truth, your purpose, like a bigger intrinsic and spiritual connection to your life direction and your goals. And I pulled this purpose card for you. So I think in terms of advice, this is a time to really be focusing on what that purpose is. And this card in particular, when I was reading the description, I loved this one line where it said that when you're living in alignment with your dharma or your purpose, there is no separation between your inner and outer realities. It becomes a cohesive expression, therefore granting a feeling of wholeness and completion. So that is what I feel like this full moon is about. There's something in your life, especially pertaining to others, or maybe concerning someone else, maybe that's more their issue. But there's something in your life that was feeling like it was out of alignment with your reality on the inside. So maybe your truth, your wisdom was telling you something and your external reality wasn't matching that. And this full moon is bringing a reality check where we are realigning those two things. And now with this purpose card, we are able to live a lot more in alignment and feel whole and complete and on purpose and in our own truth, because there is an alignment with the inner and outer realities. So it's really beautiful in that way. I really feel like you guys are going to be stepping up into the potential for more positive relationships with the Ace of Cups and the Three of Pentacles. Either your existing relationships will improve, or there are going to be new relationships coming into your life because you have created room by removing some old relationships. So either old patterns are leaving, improving the existing ones, or new people are coming in to replace old people. And with this Ace of Cups, this is really about a new emotional opportunity here. With the Three of Pentacles, you might even have the potential to work with somebody or create really strong, cohesive relationships with people who have a similar interest as you. And I think that is what the Three of Pentacles here might be talking about. While some of you guys, it could indicate improved relationships with coworkers or finding someone that you can collaborate with on a business or whatever it is that you're wanting to do, or a creative project. That is possible, but there's really some energy here around what's somebody who shares a common interest, a common hobby, a common goal, a mission in life. And I really feel like you're coming together with those people. And this is what the gift is at the end of this full moon period. It's not coming in yet, but I feel like it's going to be coming in the next, moon or two. We're really going to start to see how your emotions and your relationships qualities improve. So if you've been feeling more anxious, if you've been feeling uncertain, if you've been feeling, there's been more conflict, those things are going to start to really resolve themselves and become, again, turning over a new emotional leaf and become a lot more uplifting. And then I think ultimately, while this is a challenging full moon, it is bringing so many gifts on the other side of it. So that is what I see for you, Virgo rising. I hope that resonates. If so, please like and comment down below. I love to read your comments and see how it applies to your life. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, you can check me out at willowsboom.com, and I will link that down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Libra, rising, and sun. So for you guys, this full moon in Pisces is in your 6th house. And it is conjunct Saturn. So anytime we have something along the 6th, 12th house axis, I'm definitely more aware of our health, our mental health, how we're treating our bodies. Our anxiety levels can really be something that we need to be more aware of, especially with Saturn here. We might feel like things are needing a little bit of a closer look, especially when it comes to our everyday life. There may be particular ways in which you've gone about your work or your responsibilities that are starting to catch up with you that need to be addressed. And this could look like having it ending within the workplace. This could look like deciding that you're no longer going to have this certain particular habit that you do every day. Or this could look like you're really needing to cut back on your number of clients because you don't have enough capacity. There's something where we have been living a little bit out of alignment, or we've been not checking in with ourselves enough about something in our lives, especially in the area of, again, health, routine, work, responsibilities, and even coworker relationships, people that you collaborate with. There may be some boundaries that need to be drawn, decisions that need to be made around these areas of your life, around these faculties that ultimately need better planning. And I think it's not just about the practical stuff. It's also a highly emotional full moon. It is a full moon in Pisces. It's very cathartic, and sometimes setting those boundaries or not seeing those clients or showing up differently for your health, sometimes we have to process a lot, especially the sides of ourselves that are subconscious that push us in the same direction we've always moved in, the familiar. And this is very much the sun in the 12th house kind of experience. Like, what are some old, outdated, but yet familiar habits, self-undoing kind of mannerisms or things that we do that just don't serve us, that have been outdated, but again are recycled, maybe even through our family line? What are some of those things that have perpetuated your current health and work reality? And how can you be aware of them so that they don't continue to unconsciously drive you to certain outcomes? So for example, it's like having coming home every day after work and watching TV and being unconscious for, a few hours at a time because you're actually really stressed, and that's how your parents did it. And so your routine is actually draining your energy because you're not maybe seeing, like doing things that really fill up your cup. So it's like things like that we can become very aware of at this period of time, and needing to put the necessary boundaries and structure in our life and the necessary discipline to be like, this is what I want or don't want. This is what I need, especially when it concerns my health, my work, and my routine, and my responsibilities and relationships with coworkers. So that's basically what I'm seeing. I see also with these Two of Wands being your first card. Again, this has come up for a lot of people. It's really about our long-term planning. What is sustainable? And something has to end or give or come to resolution to find what feels sustainable and something that we can actually do to respect ourselves in the long term. With the Seven of Swords and the Seven of Wands, I feel like you've been pushing and persevering silently through something. Like, you have been almost lying to yourself about maybe how hard something is, or how unnecessarily challenging or confrontational something is in your life. You might have this feeling of like, this could be so many things. Like, let's say you have a coworker, for example, that's giving you some issues. It's like you've been kind of putting your head down and not saying anything for a really long time and acting like it's fine, but it's not fine. I feel like you've been pushing and persevering, and now you're needing to realize what needs to be let go of to enter into a state of flow, which is Pisces. Whatever is restricting the flow, Saturn in Pisces, will be removed or finalized at this time to come into that state of flow. And that state of flow is developed through structure. We don't get, I can't remember who told me this, but a coach, a therapist, a friend. But when we're talking about flow, like the necessary thing for a flow is direction and structure. So without that, the energy dissipates anywhere. Just like a river needs to have banks and walls to have the flow of the river continue on for a long time. That's how our energy works as well, and our days work. So there's certain boundaries, structures, authority that we need to have over ourselves and our lives, and certain control to be able to manipulate our own energy to become fruitful for us. Without that, again, the water could just go all over the land and just seep into the grass or the soil, and it's like it doesn't become this steady flow. It goes out into nature. Anyway, I think you guys get the whole idea here. So the Emperor card is saying there needs to be like a new structure that is put into place in the future. You don't have to put it into place necessarily now, but we have to stop some old way of doing something. We have to make a decision about doing this. We have to have a conversation. We have to confront something in a way that's very direct. And with the Page of Wands also coming in here, I feel like you guys are naturally a free-spirited person, and you feel like you want to not be limited. You don't want to be tied down. There's something here where I feel like you guys are actually going to realize that with structure, you actually have more of this free-spirited energy. You have more potential. You have more ideas. You have more inspiration, more to discover, because you have a way to use your energy properly to, again, channel that intensity, that flow, that water, which is all emotion, all creativity. You have the ability to channel it into something impactful and have more energy left over. So I think that you'll find that that if you feared that you were going to be too regimented in the past, or if you feared that, saying no to something might cut you off from this potential or whatever that is, you'll find that once you make the decision, once you set the boundary, once you say no, once you create the structure, whatever that need is, you'll actually have more abundance of possibilities, of ideas, of opportunities, of energy, and all of that is going to lead you to a lot more of your dream life with this dream card. But also, I think your dreams are really important right now because the Sun and Mercury are in your 12th house. Mercury in particular is in your 12th, and it's trining Jupiter in your 8th and Uranus there. So you are going through a period of being able to release a lot of pent-up emotions, things that maybe have held you down to the past. You're really growing out of those over this next year in really big ways. If there were old, emotions and insecurities and fears, you're really coming to terms with a lot of that. And I actually think that this is happening a lot through your dreams in particular. So if you're needing to set these boundaries or have these discussions or stop something or whatever it is that's going on in your work life or your health, what's going to help you do that is by releasing your the fears and the things that kept you in those cycles to begin with. So if you had a fear, for example, that if you talked with your boss or a coworker about an issue, if you had a fear that they were going to, yell at you or something was going to happen, maybe you would have just stayed in that situation, put your head down and persevered, but it's not actually in your best interest. And so now you're like cathartically releasing some of that emotion through your dreams and your sleep life so that you can, in your waking life, actually have that conversation and not be triggered so much. So it's a really great time for, again, dreams and meditation, any other kind of spiritual outlets. It's a good time for those things because they will help you process a lot of what's happening in your subconscious that's getting triggered, as you start to lay down the law in some way in your life and stick to more structure. Because I feel like there was a little bit of pushback to that structure or that discipline or that no or that willpower, but it was coming from, again, subconscious fears. And the dreams, the meditations, any other kind of like altered states of consciousness will help you release those things without having to try. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Libra. I hope that resonates with you. If it does, please don't forget to comment down below and let me know. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowswomen.com, which I will link down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Scorpio rising and sun. For you guys, this full moon in Pisces is happening in your 5th house, and this is going to be conjunct Saturn. So all of us are going through some kind of phase where we are hitting some type of limitation, where we are seeing the reality of something, we're reaching a culmination or an ending of a cycle, and really realizing that we need to mature or release something in order to become stronger and better at things in life. For this being in your 5th house, this has a lot to do with having some of that maturity come in around or the ending or the realization of kind of what work is required ahead, and making more cautious, sobering kind of decisions. That's specifically coming into the area of life associated with joy, pleasure, creativity, children, and also the things that we do more immediately for pleasure. So I think there's going to be a sense of stability and consciousness and cautiousness coming into the area of pleasure. So maybe you are spending like less frequently. Maybe you're planning ahead for what you want to save. Maybe you're deciding on something that you want in your future and making certain decisions to not act impulsively now in order to make sure that you're ready or prepared or have everything that you need for that goal, for that future self. And I really see that with the Page of Wands and then the Two of Wands. You're almost like you're elevating a little bit from this place of feeling like this big free spirit to wanting to actually have more of a plan. So it's like maybe you've been living your life a little bit more free flowing. Maybe you haven't created as much of a schedule for yourself, or maybe you've taken more time off. Maybe you've been on summer vacation. There's something here where that energy is kind of like catching up with you, and you're realizing that you want more balance now, and you want to have maybe more like long-term thinking instead of just kind of flowing with your own heart. Not that that's not important, but sometimes we need to align our heart with certain expectations and healthy limitations on ourselves in order to build certain muscles of self-control and will and discipline to achieve our desired outcome. So it's like pairing our natural gifts and talents and pursuing those things with self-discipline will create that desired outcome for you. And one of your advice cards is this nurture card. So some of you guys might be stepping into a phase where you're needing to nurture your inner child. Maybe you have children that need extra care and attention. Maybe they are coming into a phase where they're having a little bit of difficulty and feeling more alone or feeling more this negativity, and you need to nurture them. But there's something here where it's like your inner child and your children itself, or some sort of creative idea and potential needs nurturing. So it needs the proper nutrients, and nurture means discipline too. Nurture means self-control. Nurture means using your energy wisely, saying no to the right things, yes to the right things. And maybe ending some cycles of things where you were not using your wisdom properly. So you're really honing your skill set to be able to tune into, again, your natural gifts and your wisdom to see things through, and to create the necessary nurturing environment and balance in your life for having the right amount of flow and play, but then work and maintenance of the health, and just kind of trying to bring in a sense of more like well-roundedness and also, again, the fifth house being a lot to do with our creativity and our inner child. There might be ways in which you've neglected those. And if that's the case, it's actually creating discipline around making time for that and putting the effort in for that. With the sun as the next card as well, I really feel like you guys are coming into more of a sense of joy and vitality as a result of cutting some old things away, old patterns, old ways of thinking, old ways of wasting time, old impulsivities, and you're actually finding more fulfilling joy. Saturn in the fifth house has that gift of helping us realize not only how we can maybe pick up certain hobbies or move more into our gifts more seriously, but it also helps us do so in a way that is meaningful to us. Like the fifth house is all about our pleasures, but without the proper consciousness and intention behind seeking pleasure, we can really go in the opposite direction and have immediate gratification that hurts us. This is a period where you guys are really becoming truly joyful in the strongest sense of the word. And I think this is really going to impact your relationships. I think your relationships are improving. You might meet new friends, especially because Mercury is in the 11th, trining Jupiter in the 7th. You might meet new friends through a partner. You might meet a new partner through your friends. You might just feel like you come into a closer bond with some people. Maybe you find an online community. There's something here where I feel like you guys are really coming together with people, and you're finding like really fulfilling joy and love with these connections to people that you love. Maybe you have a party. Maybe there's something that's going to occur that really makes you feel like you're surrounded by people that you love and that uplift you. And so you're going to really, again, get that sense of what it feels like to be ultimately really fulfilled. I also see this Knight of Swords, which has a lot to do with being ambitious and action oriented. So I feel like there are going to be people that come into your life that help you get back on track. So not only, and not to say that you were off track, but I just feel like there could have been, there can be right now, this moment of time, more alignment with your purpose and with your mission and with your intention and with your future goals. And maybe you were focused on a more immediate issue, and now you're coming into like, how do I really go for what I want in life? How do I create what I want? And I feel like not only are your relationships going to help fulfill you, but I also feel like those same people are going to be helping you become more action oriented. Maybe you have important conversations with them. Maybe they inspire you through their actions. Maybe you start to see kind of how things are done because you're connecting with other people who get it. At the very least, I think that they're going to bring up that energy within your group of friends or within your family or whoever this is. And I think it's going to inspire you to move things along, and be kind of dedicated to the process of your self-actualization and alignment with your true gifts and desires. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio. It's time to take things seriously and really enjoy at the same time the beautiful relationships and gifts that are coming into your life. And there may be a need to end some old patterns, some old cycles, especially things that were done for instant gratification, to reach real fulfillment in your life. So that is what I'm seeing again for you, Scorpio. I hope that you enjoyed this message. If it resonates, I would love to hear that in your comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, you can check me out at willowsboom.com. I will link that in the description box down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Sagittarius, rising and sun. For you guys, this full moon in Pisces is in your 4th house, conjunct Saturn. And it's already a pretty emotional full moon, but I think especially for you guys, on top of it being in a water sign, being in your 4th house, which already has to do with our home and our family, but more importantly, our emotional self, I definitely feel like this one could bring up a lot to the surface, especially related to old patterns and things from the past that are related to your family. Something that, or your home, something that was maybe long overdue, or some kind of burden that you've been dealing with, or something that needed to be closed and wrapped up in terms of a cycle, something that needed to be completed in regards to your home, your family, your emotions. I'm seeing that come to a head at this full moon. There could sometimes be delays, but I ultimately feel like a Pisces full moon with Saturn, it's about something releasing. It's about something finalizing, completing, and ending. So it could have been a long time coming. This could be, again, an old emotional thing that you've been going through. This could be something related to family members. This could be related to selling or buying a house, or where you live, or construction on your house. Like, there could be so many things, but there's something finally wrapping up here that, again, is overdue in your life. And I think it's going to bring you a lot of peace and going to open you up to the idea of, well, what's next? Especially because the sun is in the 10th house right now for you. So you have a big focus on your life development, your career goals, what you want to do next, maybe projects or things that you think you aspire towards on a more external level. So again, goals. And I think with Mercury also being there in the 10th house, trining Jupiter in your 6th, you're getting more of like a routine down, or you're having more spaciousness because of the way that this ending is happening. You're having more spaciousness in terms of your responsibility and your life to start thinking about how you can manifest these next steps. So maybe you have some things working out for you in terms of work, or your current responsibilities maybe becoming a little bit more balanced, but there's something in your day-to-day life that is becoming more manageable, so you can start to reach for what you want, those bigger life dreams, those bigger goals. You can start having making a plan. Basically, that's something I see for most of these groups. I'm pulling the 2 of Wands. It's all about making a plan. It's not really our time to act per se. It's more so a time to end something or wrap something up, complete something, and then soon start making the plan or dreaming about it. And then soon it will be the time for action. So I really feel like there's something coming through here in the area of specifically work, responsibility, career, where there's a potential for growth, and you're going to start having lots of ideas about what that could be. You might make necessary connections or talk to people in a specific way that will help facilitate where you're wanting to go, and be that liaison from where you are to where you want to be. So that could be, again, having important conversations with somebody, meeting somebody important, having somebody in your, office or your boss start to look at you in a specific way, consider you for something, some type of advancement. That's kind of what I feel like is on the horizon for you. And at the very least, for that area of your life to feel like there's more facilitation, flow, or capacity of energy to dedicate towards that. Okay, so let's talk about your cards. I pulled the King of Pentacles, which has to do about wealth, business, leadership. So I really feel like you guys have somehow, especially with this Empress card as well, which comes up later in the reading, these are both very abundant cards. So I don't know what completed for you, but there's something that completed that is giving you more internal resolution where you feel like, okay, now I can step up as a leader. Now I feel more secure and safe. There's like really this feeling of your foundation being solidified by releasing something or some old cycle ending. So this could be from an emotional perspective where you're coming more into your own skin and you're like, yes, I'm confident or I'm good at this or whatever. I'm more disciplined, whatever that thing is. Or you could be actually like selling a house or something practical happening where you're getting more abundance, or having more wealth come in, or there's something that feels like it's clearing up for you so you can be more steadfast in your life. This Trust card is your advice. So there's something in your life right now where you're just needing to trust the process of this, and whatever this is, whatever is happening at this full moon is all a part of that. So whatever is releasing, whatever is completing, whatever you are looking at from this realistic vantage point, that this occurring is helping you get to those goals. And you just trust the process, even if it doesn't have that linear direction where it's very clear how it's one thing leads to another. Ultimately, you're getting to exactly where you want to go in the right timing. With this Temperance and the Queen of Wands, I definitely feel like, again, you're coming into more balance in your life. That's something that I think I even saw in your last reading. There's a continuation of that. There's a need to be patient, to use moderation, and to live more in alignment with your purpose. And that's all of what balance, I think, ultimately does for you. It doesn't try to become impulsive. It doesn't try to overextend oneself. It really trusts like the natural unfolding of the process. And if it takes time, it takes time, and that's okay. And ultimately, leaning into that energy is what helps you develop more confidence. The Queen of Wands is a very determined card. She's very courageous. She has a lot of belief in herself. She's extremely intuitive and relies on her own intuition. She's independent. She's social. She knows how to ask for what she wants and inspire others to give it to her and to work alongside her. And I think that when you step into this state of balance and flow, which ultimately this Pisces full moon is trying to help us do, and again, put an end to any kind of cycle that might have blocked or inhibited that feeling of flow, whether that's, again, having like anything within the home, the family, the emotions, the security that blocked that flow is now going to finally end so that you can step into more of this state of confidence that you deserve. But ultimately, again, it's the balance that needs to be restored to create this confidence, and the patience as well. That's the trust and the patience and the balance are really, really key here in order for you to actually get what you desire, because that is what's going to help you embody the Queen of Wands energy. When you trust and you live a life of balance where you're giving and receiving equally, you're really coming into a state of flow with everything around you. You're not forcing too much. You're not grabbing and too desperate. There's a very trusting energy, and that's the same with the Empress card. I think you guys are awakening to how much abundance is around you, how much being in your feminine energy of really trusting that the universe will provide. I think you're having an awakening with this Judgment card around how to come more into a state of that trust and that flow so that things feel very easy and they feel more nourishing, and they happen on their own timeline, but in a way that still feels comfortable for you and still makes you feel stable and secure and confident. It's not like the delays of things take away confidence or take away that security, because that's something founded intrinsically rather than on external factors. The last card I have is the Hermit card. So I really feel like you are going to yourself more for guidance, doing more like journaling, introspection, inner work that's necessary to achieve that state of trust. Like I think you're developing more faith, and not just in the universe, but in yourself. And in order to do that, you have to sit with yourself more and ask yourself what is the next direction and listen to your intuition. And then that is fortified by the universe and praying and all those types of things. But ultimately, I feel like you guys are really coming into a better relationship with yourself and feeling more secure, again, long-term, more confident in yourself. And that comes because of being able to end or complete whatever this emotional or family or home-oriented cycle is, and step more into this new cycle for yourself. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius. I hope this resonates. Please let me know by commenting down below. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, you can check me out at willswim.com. I will link that in the description box down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Capricorn, rising, and sun. So this full moon for you is happening in Pisces in your 3rd house. It is conjunct Saturn, and there is a clear definition of endings in your reading as I'm pulling the cards. But if you've watched the overview, you know this full moon is about endings for many, if not most of us. Given the nature of Pisces, the nature of a full moon and Saturn can all individually indicate endings. Combining them really, to me, means that we are needing to release and complete a cycle here. And this is a completion of a cycle, especially within the area of your mindset, your siblings, the way that you go about and complete your everyday tasks. So these could be like running errands or traveling and going to and from places. It's anything that has to do with communication and connection between people, ideas, paperwork, that type of thing. So having a full moon here, especially with Saturn involved, means that there really is likely some kind of one of those things I mentioned, but for most, it's likely going to be some kind of mindset or communication strategy that you have been engaging in that is not working anymore. So there needs to be like a true ending of a belief system, of a way of thinking about things, talking about things. Maybe you've been overly busy. Maybe you've had an issue with a sibling. Those things could also indicate that there needs to be some end there. Maybe you've been running yourself ragged. But truly, I'm seeing an ending and a beginning for you. And the ending is going to be different for everyone. I think you're going to know what that is. So this is not a personal reading. It's a collective reading. So you guys can kind of fill in the dots. But ultimately, I think that there's something here that's been really kind of overdue. It's been something that's been limiting you in some capacity. And it's helpful to see the reality of the repercussions of having that behavior or those thoughts or that interaction, and how that has affected you and how you want to make changes. So for example, let's say that you keep having an argument with somebody, the same conversation over and over and over again. And it's like, you need to put an end to this style of communicating or that particular issue that you're talking about and the way that you talk about it. And it's like, okay, look at how doing it this way is getting me to the same place again and again. How do I need to change or alter my behavior to actually resolve this, to actually not have to talk about this again? And that's just an example, but that's kind of the energy of this, where it's like, this has been hovering around me and burdening me unnecessarily, and I'm ready to release it. And with the sun in the 9th house, there is a really heavy focus on constructing our reality, really seeing life through the lens that we want to see life through. And Mercury is also in Virgo in the 9th house, saying, let's get more particular about our version of reality that we want to exist in, especially with it trining Jupiter and Uranus in the 5th. There's a lot here around your personal expression, your creativity, your joy, the way that you socialize. That can be a lot more uplifting. I feel like there could have been this feeling of heaviness or scrutiny that you've put yourself under, that's really not serving you. And this Mercury trining Jupiter in the 5th is saying, what if we looked at it from this way? What if we move through life in a way that enhances our gifts instead of kind of beating ourselves down with certain expectations? Maybe we've been too critical on ourselves, or maybe we have been avoiding really important conversations, or we've been addressing people with, too much aggressiveness or conflict. There's so many things that it could be. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down, but there's some way of thinking, communicating, expressing, moving through life, especially in terms of getting stuff done that hasn't been working, that there's some old pattern playing out and you're like, I have to stop this. And instead with Mercury and trining Jupiter in the fifth, Mercury in the ninth, trining Jupiter in the fifth, it's like, what if I could do something that brought me more joy? What if I could feel like this is play? What if I could feel like this is easy? What if I could believe in myself? What if I could have a conversation that got to the higher meaning behind things? What if I could tell them my truth? What if I could resolve this issue and create more of that sense of ease in my life? There's something here where it's like, how can I do things differently? And really, really end some old cycle. Like I'm seeing it again and again and again. I see the 10 of Swords and the Death card. These are both cards of something dying off and not returning. For some of you, it could be impacting multiple areas of your life. Maybe you're having some big transitions, but there's something specifically around your mentality or relationships with siblings that are truly having like a complete end in the road, and nothing is going to bring it back to where it used to be. So that's the beautiful thing about Saturn, is it can really actually like create a new chapter for ourselves, whereas sometimes we keep trying and we keep trying, but we fall back into it. But Saturn has this permanence and this level of, well, death, beyond death, there's no return, right? You can't just like come back to the same life, same body. And so that's what I'm seeing here is like, there's really going to be your name 2.0 after this full moon, especially if it's impacting your birth chart in a personal way. If it's not, it might not be the same, but ultimately if it's aspecting any planets around 7 degrees of Pisces, for example, you're really going to have a complete transformation here and feel like your mind does shift, your reality shifts, your way of thinking and communicating shifts. And it's going to have this really beautiful reset in your life with this Fool card. Like I think you're really going to come at life through maybe a more innocent lens, like a more naive lens, whereas before you might have had this kind of baggage or this harshness and this judgmentalness or this criticalness that can come with being hurt or carrying over difficult past experiences. And it's like you're letting that go and you're coming with a lot more lightness to life, like a lot more agility, adaptability, and again, having this innocence that is really important, because that's when we start to manifest a lot better of a reality, because we start to believe that a lot more is possible. And we believe it not from a place of desperation and longing to escape our reality, but we believe it from a sense of joy. Like we're following our joy. We're seeing how much that lights us up. And it's more of like believing that something is really beautiful out there for us, but not escaping into the future and being present in our current reality. So I hope this is making sense, because there's a way to focus so much on the belief of that something will be better that we escape into it and we ignore our current self. But I feel like you guys are going to be following so much joy in the current reality that you're going to be able to stay there in your present moment and believe something better is out there, but also be enjoying what's happening now. And this Magician card is saying you are manifesting the reality that you want because you're able to have this ending. And I pulled an advice card and I got this ritual card. And what it says is, there may be unknown forces surrounding and working for you. You are being prompted to join in through dedicated study and physical action. Beneficial esoteric teachings are worthwhile pursuing, and deeper connection with another is being forged, perhaps without you even realizing it. So there's something here where your relationships might improve, or you're learning something new. There might be some things happening that are beyond your control, especially this 10 of Swords, that is indicating something's ending in your life, but it's happening for you and it's really going to benefit you long term. So you can trust the process, lean into what's happening that feels new and exciting, and realize that you can manifest what you want based off of the way that you think and talk. And that's what the Magician card is really trying to call you into, is your own power for dictating your future reality. So That is what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn, rising and sun. I hope that you enjoyed this message. If it resonates, I would love for you to comment down below and let me know, because I always love to read your comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willismoon.com, which I will link in the description box down below. And have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Aquarius rising and sun. For you guys, this full moon in Pisces is happening in your second house of finances, conjunct Saturn. So for everyone, I've been saying there is some kind of like culmination and likely completion of something, or an ending of a cycle, releasing something, saying no to something, deciding something. And for you, this is definitely going to impact your stability, what your resources are, maybe your confidence and your money. So ultimately, I feel like it's going to lead to more money. But I'm seeing, let me kind of pause that there, put a pin in that, and come to the cards, because I pulled 5 tarot cards and 4 of them are very feminine and passive. We have the Star, the Moon, High Priestess, 4 of Swords, then Queen of Pentacles. So there's so much passive, intuitive, healing, resting energy coming in to your reading. So I feel like there's something that there's some message here coming through to not try to like force things or figure everything out, or do too much, really. There's almost like a need to restore and receive and nurture oneself that's coming through very strongly. And I think this is also because the sun is in the 8th house, Mercury's in the 8th house, and you're going through a period of maybe needing to heal something. The 8th house always is where we carry a lot of emotional trauma and baggage, and it can be a highly charged house, and there can be a lot of fears and subconscious things that we've pushed aside that come back up during a full moon like this, and it can be very emotional. And our own sense of survival can be triggered, because a full moon in the 2nd house is a lot about, you know, do I have the resources and things I need to survive? Do I have the confidence, the skills, the materials, the relationships, whatever that is for you that you've grown attached to? Some of that could end and challenge that feeling of feeling safe and strong in your survival. And it's ultimately trying to help you attach to a new way of surviving, or a new, like, it's having you root into something deeper within the self, so that if you've become attached to things that aren't ultimately in alignment with the way that you're meant to feel secure, it's almost like making that security originate from a much more stable place within the self, because sometimes we attach that to external things, and that might be taken away during this period of time. And you're really here to process a lot of these emotions. The Star and the Moon card, you know, as an astrologer, the Star and the Moon, these are of course like some of the planets or celestial objects, and you might be in a phase of kind of in this dream state of like this weird liminal space in between, where you're trying to figure out your reality. You're trying to figure out where you're going to land next. And the Star card is saying that you're going to feel hopeful, but there is still stuff lingering from the subconscious that you're needing to process. And with this High Priestess card, you can process this through your intuition, through meditation, through spiritual practices, but it's really a time to like go into your deeper inner world, and just kind of care for yourself. Art is a good way to also process dreams, journaling, things that are basically helping you kind of sift through things that come to you through divine origins. So not mentally as much, but like creative inspiration comes from the divine. Dreams come from the divine. Meditation, visualizations during meditation, that sort of thing. It's like that's kind of what you're needing to sift through right now, so that you can, again, find more of this stable sense of self-worth and confidence. And I also feel like something around your finances or your physical objects and resources will shift as well. Maybe there's an ending there with something. Maybe you made money in one way, now you're going to be making money in another way. Maybe you are selling some of your stuff. Maybe you're selling a house and there's a closing of a cycle, closing of a chapter in regards to things that made you feel secure, that you owned, that you are going to have to give up or change your relationship with it now. And that doesn't just have to be your physical stuff, but I think your physical stuff will be affected by whatever ends or changes in your life. And I really feel like with this Four of Swords next to the Queen of Pentacles, it's almost telling you like that you can actually reach greater abundance by resting during this phase. Again, not pushing. Like the Queen of Pentacles is extremely abundant. She's very nurturing of herself, though. It's like she knows that she knows what to do to take care of herself, and she's practical but yet emotional, and provides the things that she needs to thrive and to support her inner child. And the Four of Swords is saying, like, let's rest. Let's do the necessary work we have to do, but let's also take the necessary time to rest, to contemplate, to recuperate, to meditate, to really go within. And you will actually achieve greater sense of abundance and wealth and stability in your life by doing that first. I also pulled the wealth card. So truly there is something here where you are achieving, through this cycle ending, you're going to achieve true wealth in your life. And that can be any type of wealth: emotional, financial, spiritual, physical, all the other types of wealth. Like you're going to come into a more profound and strong and stable sense of wealth in your life, because it's going to come from you and not external things, people, circumstances, money, all those types of things. Right now with Mercury in your 8th house, it's trining Jupiter in your 4th. So it's really trying to help stabilize you emotionally and again bring that deeper security within yourself by going through this necessary end or change in your life. So it's ultimately going to fortify you, while initially it might challenge you, but give yourself the space to rest, to have reprieve, because you need that right now. Your soul needs this healing right now. So just keep that in mind. And I hope that this is a helpful message for you. If so, please comment down below. I'd love to read about how your life correlates to these readings. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at willowsbloom.com, which I will link down in the description box below. Thanks, guys. Bye. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Pisces rising and sun. So this is really significant for you guys because this is a full moon in your sign and it is conjunct Saturn. So full moons in general tend to produce a lot of emotional experiences, a catharsis, a need to release and let things go, especially in Pisces, and even doubly so because Saturn is here. Saturn is a planet of restriction, of reality, of endings, of needing to have some kind of completion of a phase. And it's also a planet that's very much associated with time and longevity. And it's interesting because one of the first cards that I pulled for you was longevity. If you have Pisces in your first house, if you're a Pisces rising, for example, or even the sun, this could be something that you need to be more aware of, is the longevity of something in your life. This could be health, especially if it's first house. It could be something related to career. It could be something related to abundance, because that's something that's coming up very strongly in many of your cards. This says abundance, and then a couple other cards do as well. But there's something here about needing to think more long term, because ultimately whatever needs to end in your life right now, or there's some kind of commitment that you might have taken on that you need to reassess the timeline for, or there might be some reality that you need to face, or something old catching up with you. These are all things I talked about in the overview, but all these things are potentials with Saturn coming in here. And ultimately we need to slow things down a little bit. I think that's what the longevity is trying to get you to see, is if you've been running yourself ragged, if you've taken on too much responsibility, if you haven't honored your own limitations, I think you're really going to feel that right now. And it's really trying to get you to pace yourself for the long term and to recognize what true abundance is. Because sometimes we might be working really hard to achieve security in our lives and to feel like we are building the life that we want for ourselves in the long term. And sometimes that means means making certain sacrifices and, you know, maybe working a little bit more. And that's totally okay. And that this full moon will help you realize when you need to do that. But there will also be moments where you realize where maybe you've sacrificed the wrong things or too much, or maybe the way that you are going about achieving these certain goals doesn't actually feel abundant for you. It doesn't feel like it flows. And I think that there's almost a need to surrender and trust what's happening, because something might come in out of the left field for you, or something might end that you are not ending yourself. Especially because this is in the sign of Pisces, and it has a lot to do with surrendering to what's happening. But yeah, there may be something that is changing or ending or needing to complete in your life in some form, or something just happening that's outside of your control that can make you feel like you need to do something about it, or it can flare up. You know, a lot of our fears with this devil card, it can flare up some of our shadow self, some of our attachments, some of our scarcity, our addiction patterns, however we start to cope with that. And so there's something in your life right now that is challenging you in some capacity. Likely an ending, doesn't have to be. Watch the overview for more examples. And it's challenging your life in some way, and it might be out of your control. And it's like we need to slow down and think more long term and be gentler with ourselves, and be very aware with this Hermit and the Devil card of how there could be the shadow self coming to the surface. And the Hermit card is really going within, taking the time alone to dig underneath that. So let's say, for example, you lose your job, or you lose a friend, or something that you wanted to do falls through, or something unexpected happens in your life in some kind of capacity, or something ends that you really identified yourself with, like maybe a long-term, you know, hobby or friendship or a job, or something ends and you're moving, or something shifts in your life. And it's like you have to almost detach from that. And in that process of whatever that event is, in that process, sometimes the shadows can emerge and flare up because we feel unsafe, or we feel like we are lacking some security, or the change and the newness can bring up internal, you know, just whatever old things we normally do to create more of that feeling of control over our lives. But ultimately it could be escaping. It could be, restricting our food. It can look like so many different things, but there's something around this where things are happening in your life very purposefully, and it may feel like it's taking something from you, because Saturn can do that, or something is wrapping up in your life, and that shadow can come up to the surface to be like, wait, no, I don't know if I'm ready for this next chapter. I don't know if I can let this go. And ultimately, it's saying to surrender, to trust in this process. And it's saying with this longevity card that it might not happen on the timeline that you want, but you're getting exactly where you want to go. It's happening. Like the things that are happening now are setting you up for future success, and it's happening at the divine pace that it needs to occur at. So I feel like that's a message that some of you guys need to hear, is that it's okay for things to slow down. It's okay for things to leave your life. It's okay for detours to happen, because it's getting you to where you want and need to go for actual true abundance. Because if you force things, if you push ahead, if you're critical, and if these shadow things come up within you and you're using that against yourself, it's not actual abundance that you're going to reach on the other side of that. It's really going to be, maybe you hit a certain deadline or you hit a certain goal, but the internal process of that, who you become in that process by forcing or pushing or, you know, whatever you're doing to yourself that comes from a shadowy place, it's not who you want to be on the other side of that goal. So it's really important to, again, surrender and trust to the divine timeline and what is naturally ebbing and flowing in your life. What might be leaving is going to make space for what new needs to actually come in. And we can trust that that's getting you exactly to where you need to go. And so that's, I think, a really strong message for you guys. And you can get a lot of support as well through your relationships right now with the sun in the 7th house. Especially the sun is also making Mercury in the 7th is making a trine to Jupiter in your 3rd house. So having conversations with your partner, with your friends, with other people in your life who really know you or who really get your journey, they are going to offer this support and help you realize how abundant you are, how much you can trust in this flow of life and what's happening for you right now. And with the Queen of Pentacles and the Empress card, as well as the Abundance card coming up, you guys are actually coming into a state of a lot of financial prosperity. And I feel like you're going to be building yourself up, building up your reputation, building up your life's work. You're going to be coming into a state of past things finally coming full circle and paying off for you. So it's happening for you, but there may need to be some things that you have to face or to let go of in order to feel like you can truly fully embrace all of this abundance and all of this sense of flow. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who not only feels that abundance, but she's also very nurturing to herself. And the Empress is somebody who not only feels that abundance, but she also is in a state of receptivity and flow and feeling like, again, very nurturing to herself. So I think that's the biggest key here, is not to just strive and push for abundance, but to really see how we can be working towards those things while being a lot more nurturing in the process. That's just something I'm seeing is like almost like I need to be gentle and be aware of the shadow, how that can drive you. The devil is actually a Capricorn or Saturn card. So it does have a lot of this, like, if I'm operating from a place of scarcity, I'll just like whip myself into shape and I'll just get better and I'll just do more. And it's like, sometimes Saturn does require that additional work, but because this is a completion of a cycle related to Saturn, I think it's more so realizing how that can lead to imbalances and not serve us. And if we surrender and trust and try to put in work at the same time and nurture ourselves, you'll find that you get a lot more positive results in your life and you actually can get there faster. So that is what I'm seeing for you. Just being very aware of time, the essence of time here, because Saturn is the god of time, is super important. And I think this is going to be such a gift for you to realize that the way that you develop and grow as a person is equally as important as how long it takes. And sometimes you need a little bit more time. Maybe you need to finish up certain, like growth processes. Anyway, I'm kind of going off on one right now. But just generally respecting the cosmos, the divine timing, recognizing we have transits that impact when certain things happen and when we're ready to go into certain phases of our life and when we need to slow things down to prepare. So that is ultimately what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. I hope that made sense. I kind of felt like it was a little convoluted, but hopefully that was clear for you. And if so, I would love to hear how it resonates with you down below. If you want to comment, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, you can check me out at willswim.com. And I hope you have a great day.